The article that I read talked about the Air Force and how they have a primary meteorology center that uses data from a variety of different sources to build weather models. So the US military actually relies upon these weather models to plan different kinds of operations. So it's interesting to know that they make a lot of decisions and plan their operations based on these weather models. So, in addition to the Air Force and this center that they have that basically builds weather models, there's a Defense Department agency called the DIU, which is more clearly called the Defense Innovation Unit. So, this agency was created to work with commercial tech industries, and the DIU here, in conjunction with the Air Force, actually selected 5 different companies, some of which are startups, to help the government build weather models. It's interesting to know that a lot of decisions, again, and sort of operational planning is based on these weather models, and the government, more specifically the Air Force, relies upon these weather models. So that's interesting. In terms of a potential security implication that I was thinking about, well, the startup here is working, or the startups and the companies here are working with 2 government-based agencies. So a potential security implication in and of itself is, and something to think about is, how much access do these startups or companies actually have to the government-based system that they're actually working with and supplying data to? Is it possible that an adversary can sort of intercept data here or gain an edge into the government system because there's a startup here that might potentially have weaker security practices or weaker resilience methods in place? Is it possible that an adversary can sort of exploit that aspect there? And is it possible that there is a vulnerability there because there's a startup and other different kinds of companies that are not government based that are working with a government agency and a system they're supplying data to? So that was like a potential security concern or aspect I was thinking about, like how much access do these startups and companies actually have to the government systems here that they're actually working with. Another potential security implication is that the data will be collected during this pilot project where they're going to test the company's ability to provide the data in the correct fashion. And the data is going to be further utilized for various kinds of experiments and research across the US government. So, in terms of like a potential security implication, how is the data going to be dispersed? Like, are they planning to appropriately make sure that the data gets sent in a secure fashion? Because is it possible that there's an adversary that is also able to target this sort of sending of data? Can they intercept that data? And is there an issue that can arise there from a security perspective? And I thought that might be something to think about.